Hi there. It is Wednesday, November 13th. The impeachment hearings have started, and I'm sure we're going to hear Larry's reaction to that. So take it away, Larry.
All right, folks.
Sorry,
Mary Ellen
that is my.
Mary Ellen is right. It is the open hearing day one. Several tricks have already been played by shifting the game. Number one, you'll notice in the opening, Schiff made his little speech, and then they had their attorney make their speech and questions, and they drug it on forever and ever and ever. What was that about? That was to get people tired early of the hearing, get bored, and leave it. That was planned.
Larry,
that was on purpose.
Larry, hang on. Even on the Fox News chat, there was a comment that one of the congressmen said this hearing is so boring.
Yeah, well, that was on purpose. Then, in several of the rules that y'all didn't hear about, that Nunes, Jordan, and a couple of others were getting straightened out, and this was all fair. Schiff did everything to mess it all up, as usual. So there's a bunch going on behind the scenes that you're not seeing. Now, as far as the witnesses, I hate to chime in, but if they were indeed the best shot that the Democrats had at presenting a case of legitimate impeachment against the president, they failed horribly, horribly. As a matter of fact, I wish this hearing today was that important. I do. I wish that was what this was about. I wish this was a hearing where the majority of the American people could hear, see for themselves, understand, and make a decision, make a determination. But it's not. I switched over, as most of y'all should try to do, as hard as it is, when there is commentary coming out from the media. You ought to switch to CNN and MSNBC and hear their presentation of what you just saw. It's not the same. For example, when they had the long break, MSNBC and all of their legal experts were sitting there, and they were jumping up and down about the bombshell. This new bombshell Ambassador Taylor had dropped, which was the phone call. I'm sorry, I had to listen to this for a second. They didn't know about this supposed phone call that I can't remember the name who got it, but he was at a table having lunch, and this person, it was one of his assistants, was having lunch, and then the person he was with got a call supposedly from the president, and he could hear the president over the phone, and he was saying basically guilty. I mean, what this assistant was saying President Trump said would convict anybody. Now, if you think about it, folks, sitting at a restaurant, even a secluded sort of restaurant, quiet, and somebody picks up their cell phone, is it normal for you to be able to hear what the person on the phone is saying? Is it?
No.
Now, the other thing, if you were sitting in a meeting with somebody and the President of the United States calls and you were at a restaurant, would you sit there at that table with the person, an assistant of the ambassador? Would you sit there and take the call from the president, or would you get up and go where you had some privacy? Well, apparently, this guy just sat there and let the president talk on and convict himself. It was totally bogus. It couldn't stand up in 2 seconds in a court of law. In a court of law, what the defense attorney would do is they would ask that person to bring that assistant to the courtroom. They would go to the restaurant, get the table. They would do sound checks of the restaurant for ambient noise levels at that time. And then they would have the person that was getting the phone call there, have them get a phone call on their phone, and they would have somebody calling in and repeating the words the president said. And then the whole world would see whether or not that person at that table could have possibly heard such a call, heard such a conversation. The answer is no. No, couldn't. But that was your bombshell. If you listen to MSNBC during that break, that was the bombshell that changed the course of this entire hearing. I tell you this because I want you to understand. This whole hearing, when it's all said and done, I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. When this hearing's over, the people that hate President Trump and want him outed from office, want him impeached, they're going to believe everything the Democrats are saying. And they're going to believe he is guilty. The people that love President Trump, they're going to hear this hearing, and they're going to hear the logic behind the Republicans, what they say, and the evidence and the justifications they give. And they're going to see that this hearing and this impeachment is bunk. This is just the way it's going to be. It's nothing burger. It's a big nothing burger. Except for the fact that that's our money being wasted right there. Millions of dollars of our money being wasted there. That's our country being torn apart right there. That's the group of people that are supposed to be doing our business, not doing it. They're doing this. Think about it. Think of the waste. Think about the misfeasance, malfeasance that's going on right now, right in front of your eyes, about an impeachment over reasons and things that do not exist. I do in some ways feel sorry for Ambassador Taylor. I don't feel any sorrow for Ken. He's a smartass. But Taylor is the typical lifelong public servant, supposedly, and he's so disciplined in the art of public service that he carefully notes everything that he does so that he can go back and recall it if necessary. But you'll notice in the things that he recalls, there's one problem even with that, his great ability to take notes, etc., etc. Everything he says of legal importance to whether or not a president should be impeached, everything he says is based off his interpretation of what he thought, what he heard, or what he did meant. There have been no facts presented at all. None. Now, you may wonder why, or not why, but how. How can the Democrats sit there in that hearing, hear the questions posed by the Republicans, hear the damage that they've done to some of Taylor and Kent's responses, hear the damage they've done. I mean, they've torn them up in a couple of places. But then when you hear the Democrat, it's like it never happened. They just go on with their straight narrative that they started with. Just as if the Democrats, just as if the Republicans weren't even there. They just stay with their storyline, stay with their script, stay with their script. That's so that they know what they're doing and they know who they're talking to. They're talking to their base. Mm-hmm. And they want to make sure that their base is getting the story they want them to get, the way they want them to get it. And you're going to be shocked when this is all over. You're going to be shocked. There are going to be people that you may end up talking to that were predisposed to hate Trump, predisposed to hate Trump. But even those people, when they come to you or when they talk to you and they tell you how damaging and how serious this hearing was and how this hearing just absolutely convicted President Trump, you're going to be shocked because you didn't see that. You haven't seen that. And by the way, folks, nobody has seen that. It has not happened. It hasn't. But you see, we have changed some of our foundational principles as people. We have. Don't like it, but we have. You know, I suppose there was a time, I assume there was a time, when the world lived or died, worked or didn't work, based off truth and reality. Those days don't exist now. Now, reality has a fundamental principle, a foundational principle. Reality is as one perceives it. So all I got to do is make somebody perceive that it's raining outside. Somehow, the water on them, look up and say, didn't you get hit by a drop of rain? I mean, all I got to do is convince them that it's raining outside. And as far as that person is concerned, it's raining. And when they go tell somebody else about being outside with me, you know what they're going to say? I was outside with him, but it started raining.
Larry,
reality is as one perceives it. Yes, ma'am.
This is what we have come to when 20, 30, 40 years ago, they started talking about how truth is relative. It's my truth versus your truth. It's all perception of truth versus it's perception of facts, not truth. Because there can't be my truth, your truth, anybody's truth being different. Truth should be absolute, but they're claiming it's relative.
You need to understand where all of this came from, and I'm speaking in the governmental world, in the world of our country, of our government, in many ways our way of life. It came from when we violated one of the first things that our founding fathers requested or demanded, and that was to never let lawyers into Congress. They call them barristers, but that's just the name for lawyers. Witches and lawyers were banned from serving in Congress. And we didn't listen to them. Over time, now we've got nothing but nearly all lawyers. And you see, lawyers go into courtrooms, and it's their job. It's their job to argue facts and to make the facts go one way or another. Make the facts lead to one reality or another. And so as we've seen it in Washington, as it occurs over and over and over, as it occurs over and over and over, you know what? Eventually it has caught on. With the media, it's caught on. The media's finally figured it out. You know, they figured it out. And this goes back a long ways to Goebbels, Hitler. They knew it. They knew all they had to do was just tell the people the same thing over and over and over. And eventually people would believe it. And they do. And we do. But if that's the world we're going to live in, then one day we were destined to get where we are today. Where we can go right down the street, me and you, and we can both look straight ahead and see two different things. Both of us walk straight down the road and see different things. When in truth, the truth is when we're both walking down the street, we should be seeing the exact same thing. We're both walking down the same street. But we've so warped our moral. Yeah, moral, I guess it's moral foundation, where nothing's real anymore. Nothing. They've even taken our religion and made us in church Go to church. You got to go to church. You go to church, and depending on what church you go to, it tells you what the Word of God is. I mean, in the same Christian world, you go to two different churches, you get two different interpretations of the Word of God in church. Should be one. Should just be one. But there's not. There's two. You say, well, that ain't true, Dave. Well, yeah, it is. You go to a Catholic church, you got to get sprinkled with water, turn around and rub your belly, pat yourself on the head 20 times and say 70 Hail Marys. You go to a Baptist church, you got to get dunked completely in water, and you can't wear lipsticks or wear a dress or pants or whatever. If you're, I mean, all of these things that one time were permitted, now they're not, or now they weren't permitted, now they are. You see, truth changed. You know, I always marvel. When I was growing up, most of y'all are probably the same. I went to Baptist church when we had to go to play football. They made us go on Sunday morning if we were going to play on Friday night the next week. We'd all sit together in the balcony, and most of us slept through it. But in those days, women could not walk in a church wearing pants. Oh my God. That was the kiss of the, that means they would throw you out of the church if a woman dared to do that. If a woman dared to do that in a Baptist church, they'd throw you out.
Wasn't just Baptist churches, that's the way it was for me too.
Yeah, today they go in wearing shorts. I mean, I don't know what's right or wrong. It's not my call. But what I'm trying to point out is, isn't it funny, if it was the truth back then, if that was the truth, then why is it not the truth today? Think about it. And if that wasn't true back then, or at least it's not true today, so if it's not true today, it wasn't true back then, what else are we walking in and hearing in church that's not true either? A good example of that, homosexuality. You know, used to, that was a big no-no. Well, now it's not. Even in Baptist churches, they don't care. As long as you put money in the drum, as long as you're contributing to the church, shoot, buddy, you're welcome. And then when you question it, they just throw you the old standard line, I hate the sin, but love the sinner. Think about it. What's true? What's real? And it wasn't until I met Ernie Sanders years ago that he set me straight, because I had truly, y'all, I had lost all faith in church. My faith had been torn to shreds. It had been torn to shreds because I would do work with Jerry Falwell and his radio ministry, and he was the one that promoted the Clinton Chronicles, and he made more money off it, he told me, than any other project they had had. And then he turned around and beat Pat Patriciano out of paying for him. Kind of rip off. But then I had other churches, other preachers that I did, big name preachers. I'd do their show. Oral Roberts doing his program. He'd say I was the greatest man on earth, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you didn't buy the Clinton Chronicles from him, you were going to hell. That's right. That's right. He told people that. And I sat there and listened. And then there was a cascade of different preachers and their different little tricks to raise money. They didn't care. They just raised money. So you can see why I thought, well, you know what? If these guys know the Bible so well that they can preach it and tell you the chapter and verses, then there's something they know that the rest of us don't. They know that's not true. This is what I thought, folks. They know it's not true. They knew it's not true. Because if you knew it was true, there is no way a preacher would do what they were doing. No way. Well, along comes Pastor Ernie Sanders, and he sets me straight somewhat. Number one, the confusion of what you got to do to get to heaven. He ain't rubbing your belly and patting your head and turning 70 times or going swimming in water. It was none of that. It was just asking God to forgive you and to accept you. Just a conversation between you and God. And to be born again. That's it. No parades, no fireworks, just born again. And then he said and taught me that he knew about the preachers that were taking advantage of the flocks. He knew about it. But what he told me was that according to the Word of God, they were cutting themselves a real big bad piece of hell. That God had a special penalty for preachers that did just that. So over time, I came back. Not to religion. No way. I came back to God. So you see, reality and being as one perceives it, it's real. It's real. I mean, I perceived in my own way, which is part of where I developed the 11th commandment. You know, the 11th commandment, thou shalt not rationalize. That's when I figured out you could rationalize yourself into doing anything. In your mind, in your heart, in your head, you can rationalize yourself to doing or not doing anything. That's reality as one perceives it. Well, that's where we are today. That's what you're seeing today. That's what you're seeing right here in this hearing. What I fear is this hearing, this whole impeachment thing, is playing right into the hands of the George Soroses, the progressives, that want to transform our form of government. It's playing right into it. You see, to the average person, right, the average person sitting out there, they're going, how can we ever again go anywhere with our government? How can we ever again accomplish anything with the government we have today? Because if the liberals want something, the conservatives hate it. If the Democrats want something, the Republicans don't. If the Republicans want something, the Democrats won't. Constant loggerheads. Never being able to unify. Never being able to get the work of the business of the people done ever again. That's what people are going to conclude. That's what they're going to see. So what does that lead us? Leads us right into the hands of the progressives. They're going to say, and are saying, by the way, if you listen, that our representative constitutional form of government don't work no more. We're different people in a different country than we were when our founding fathers created this great experiment. They didn't have telephones. They didn't have computers. They didn't have cars. They didn't have planes. They didn't have any of the stuff we have today. So therefore, our Constitution and this form of government just don't work no more. Don't.
I was glad when I was listening to Adam Schiff's opening statement that I didn't have any drink in my mouth at the time, because I would have spewed it everywhere. When he was talking about how important this hearing was to make sure we maintained our republic. Maintained our republic when we know for sure he wants to overturn it. I just about croaked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember what they say, it's opposite of what they mean. So when he says this means what we've got to be a republic, he means it's what we've got to do to destroy it. Remember? Uh-oh, get knocked off. Got to call you back.
Well, now just stay. Where's the volume? Oh, there it is. I have my fireplace going, so there's probably a little bit of device not connected. There we go. Are you there, Larry? No, we got buffering. He got knocked off. My mic isn't working either. Oh, help. All right, let me get the where did I put the, hang on, folks. You not only got knocked off, but my mic is gone. So we'll see if we can. Let me see. Let me get this set up so we can get the microphone plugged in. And well, you know, our mutual friend calls me at that time all the time too. She just doesn't remember. Yeah. All right. We're back now. Let's see if you can be heard. Give me a sec, Larry. Let me go unplug the fireplace. We need to keep it as quiet here as possible. So can you hear me now, folks? Somebody say yes, we can hear you. Okay, somebody said they can hear us now. So let's go forward. Go ahead, Larry. And you were talking about our representative constitutional government doesn't work, they'll say, because we're now a different country. That's where you were.
Therefore, we're going to have to come up with something new, something that works in today's world. And that's when we are going to be introduced to this new system of governance that you and I are going to know, no matter what they call it, is just going to be another version of socialism, communism. That's what it's going to be. Now, the truth, here we go, the truth is that our form of government would be working very well, thank you, today. Very well. Except for one problem. It's the people that we have running our government. These congressmen, these senators, the people we keep electing over and over and over. If we don't change that to 2020, or at least make a dent in it in 2020 first by re-electing the president, it's over. It's over. And sometime within the first 6 months to 1 year, first 6 months of 1 year, of the new administration in Congress, we will have a new form of government. A new form of government. So there. That's where we're headed if we don't stop it. Now, I want to go, since these hearings are going on, I want to ask y'all, if you have questions, bring them to me now, because I may have to get off at any minute due to things going on with the hearing. So if you have questions.
Yeah, we've got four. I have four, Larry. Don asked if they impeach if these hearings fall apart, can they impeach him again? Can they bring something up later and start over?
Yes. Not only yes, they can, but Schiff already has 2 more screenplays written for the next 2 attacks on the president. He's already written. They're already gathering the people in places that they need them to pull them off. But they know this is going to fall flat on his face. They know it. Don't be deceived. They have no concept of a real impeachment manifesting out of this hearing or for this entire series of things that they've got going on. They know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I had to laugh at that comment about what happened with Nixon, because it was, I can't remember what was said about Nixon, but I thought, you've got to be kidding me. You're equating this to that. There's no connection whatsoever.
Right. You know, what they were referring to was there is no Howard Dean in this impeachment inquiry. You know, Howard Dean, he literally admitted he talked to Nixon about the vertebrae and how it was planned, and that Nixon knew about it. I mean, he literally admitted that, you know, he was in on it. There's no one here giving first-hand testimony, having actually talked to the president at all. As a matter of fact, the two leading witnesses of this charade have both admitted in this hearing that neither one of them have ever even talked with President Trump. Never talked with him.
And admitted that what they were telling was hearsay.
Mm-hmm. So that's what they were referring to. What else you got?
Were the McCarthy hearings based in reality? And that question was asked when we were talking about truth versus facts. When we were talking about truth versus facts, the question came in: were the McCarthy hearings based on reality?
Well, that's what history has ended up revealing, which was that he was telling the truth. Unfortunately, the way it was played out is he was nuts, and he saw a commie behind every tree, which could not be possible, they pointed out. He pointed, if you can believe it today, he pointed and said Hollywood, that it was controlled by communists, the Soviet Union. He said it back then, and he was pointing out and naming names and naming people. And of course, he was laughed out, thrown off, brushed aside. Today, what he was alleging don't look so far-fetched, does it?
No, not at all. Okay, the next question. Do you think Trump will win next year?
I hope he will. But I have to be realistic with y'all and tell you that it is going to be a very tough race. Now, I know when you're sitting here saying, okay, if he lives through this, and we're really just talking about his campaign, and assuming one of the cast of characters that are in the Democratic primary now ends up being the person that he runs against. I know you're sitting there saying, well, that's not a contest. He will walk all over them. That's not true. That is not true. You have to remember the power of the press. What the press is going to do every day from now until then. First off, you have to start with the realization that 50% of this country already today, 50% of this country, or 49%, I'm going to say, of this country already today, maybe even 48% of this country already today is going to vote him out. That's right. 48% are going to vote him out right now. Conversely, 48% of the people that are for him, they're going to vote to keep him. Well, it's not, you say, well, then it's that 4% that we got to win over that's not committed yet. No. What determines who's going to win and which side gets all of their 48% out to vote, or the majority of their 48% out to vote. That's going to determine who wins. And that's where you have to weigh the media. You have to weigh the sweeteners that they're using, the Democrats, to free college, free everything, all of that stuff. It has power come election time. Then you're going to have all of these they're going to repeat the day before the election. They're going to repeat if this hearing falls flat of its face, if this impeachment falls flat of its face, if the next two impeachment concepts fall flat of their face, the day before the election, you'll have the media, every one of them telling everybody that watches or hears the media saying or reads the media saying that, he was found guilty of extortion, he was found guilty of being a Russian agent. I mean, they're just going to make it out like all of this really did happen and he really did do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough election. And then, and I have warned about it, but I can't seem to make people understand. Periodically, I see the Trump kids, his two sons primarily, and leaders of the Republican Party. I see them out on television, on Fox and such, saying that he's a shoo-in, victory's absolute, victory's guaranteed. When they say that, they're sitting there taking people in their soft base and making them believe, well, if it's raining, it's not necessary for them to go vote. Damaging. Risky. But yes, I am going to remain an optimist at this point. And maybe that's not an optimist. Maybe I'm not an optimist. I'm going to say it this way. At this point, I'm going to pray that he wins. Whatever.
Mimi said Donald Trump was a lifelong Democrat. If he had run as a Democrat, would this be going on, or would there be total acceptance of him and his policies?
He would never have won if he were a Democrat and ran in the Democratic primary. He couldn't have. But even if he did win in the Democratic primary, this would never have happened to him. The Republicans would have never done or resorted to this kind of tactic to get rid of him. Wouldn't have happened.
Do you see any of the Democrats having a chance against Trump in a debate?
No. That is a certainty. They will not. But having said that, he is going to go into each and every debate in trouble. Number one, the expectations of him out-trouncing his Democratic opposition. The expectations are going to be that he's going to either stomp them in the ground, and if he doesn't just beat them by 10 million miles, he really lost. Then he's going to be fighting not only the Democrat nominee that he's up against, but he's also going to be fighting the media that's hosting the event. So, yes, he should win the debates, but it's going to be harder than anybody imagines.
Yeah.
And remember, by the way, even if he walks all over the Democrat, let's just say, what if Joe Biden, for example, gets to be his opponent in the debate? My God, you can't even make it up to look like Biden could hang with him. But the next day after the debate, according to the media, Biden stomped him. They're going to say he stomped him, and then guess what? 48%, 50% of the people that hate Trump, they're going to buy into it and say, great, Biden won. Because number one, a lot of the people in the soft base, they're not going to watch these debates, folks. They're not going to watch them. They're going to go by what? They're going to go by what they're told the next day. And we know where that's coming from, 6 and 10 o'clock evening news on their local news. What else?
Is Nancy Pelosi handing over her speakership to Schiff?
No, she's not. But she's very close to losing her speakership to that AOC. And she knows it.
Wow.
Nancy Pelosi is in a fight for her life. She knows that the AOC young crowd, millennial crowd, are coming after her. They're going to get her. And she knows it. So she's holding on with everything she can. And that's why she's going along with some of the things Schiff is doing, even though she knows she shouldn't. But she has to.
Yeah.
To try to hold her position as long as she can.
Yeah. Matthew said it seems like the military-industrial complex is strong in Congress. What's your take on Kent's opening statement praising Kissinger and Brzezinski?
My God.
That was pretty bad.
That's when, to be honest, I had never even heard of that Kent character. Never heard of him. But when I heard him say that, I hate to say it, when I heard him say that, I didn't need to hear anymore. I didn't like him. I did not like him. Anybody that comes from that school of thought, train of thought, from those two guys, he's no friend of ours. No friend of ours. And you'll notice throughout his questioning, he certainly reflected that arrogant attitude.
Yeah.
He did. Whatever.
Jolie says, we can't give up. Trump won against all odds in 2016. We have to keep praying that God will be gracious and give us victory in 2020.
Nobody here, from Mary Ellen or myself, are saying anywhere near the possibility of giving up. Nobody. Now, if you're wondering what that squeaky noise is, Rosie has awakened and she is ready to play. And so she's forcing me to play with her squeaky toy. Anyway, go ahead. What's next?
Okay. Edmund says, upon a socialist officially running for office, won't anyone who swore to defend the Constitution be activated to defend it? Where's our military?
Well, I'm afraid we're coming to that crossroad. We are coming to that crossroad. But that's the purpose of redefining the Constitution, you see. That's why they have to transform our form of government. Because we can't. We cannot support. And anybody in the military, past or present, we cannot support people that are promoting socialism and at the same time be true to our oath to honor and defend the Constitution. We can't. So what they'll do is they will remove the Constitution as a form of transforming our form of government. They will make the Constitution null and void. That's the plan. They have to. Whatever.
Does Pelosi have any friends left that she can use?
I don't know. That's for her to figure out and us to watch and see.
Yeah. There was another question I thought I saw.
But I will say Nancy Pelosi has been stripped of more power in the past year than I could have ever dreamed, even me, possible.
Yeah.
But she has been stripped of power.
Now, James has asked, say again?
And it shows on her,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, the shock of it all is really wearing on her. Why hasn't Obama endorsed any of the Democrats yet?
Well, primarily because they haven't chosen who it's going to be yet. As I have told you, the DNC is yet to pick
candidate.
Yeah. So.
When they do, he will.
Yeah. James is thinking the economy is so great that that'll give Trump a shoe-in to win. But as you have said, they are planning to, you have heard that there is a plan to crash the economy right before the election to hurt President Trump. So they plan to, they are recognizing what James is saying, and they're going to make sure that he doesn't win on the economy.
Right now, the only caveat to that would be possibly, and I'm just giving you a possibility, and it's my opinion. If, what's her name, Elizabeth Warren, becomes the nominee, and she stays true with this junk about taxing the rich, etc., they might not be able to get the power brokers in Wall Street and institutional buyers to go along with trashing and crashing the market. But they usually have a way of working that out. She usually says, wink, wink, I don't really mean it, and they understand. But don't believe the economy is going to be that strong come election day. They can trash it at any moment. They can.
Forgive me for laughing. I'm reading something in the.
By the way, so we get it out in the open. If I knew exactly when they were going to pull the plug and trash the economy to hurt Trump in the campaign, I would tell you, y'all can make a lot of money selling stock short or whatever, buying it short or whatever you call it. But I don't know, so don't ask.
Okay. Why aren't the Democrats being charged with false accusatory statements and claims against the president? In other words, why aren't they being charged with treason?
Because they can't. Because President Trump is a public figure. Because of the protections afforded the members of our Congress. They can say anything they want to and get by with it. The only time they cannot make slanderous comments about people is if they attack everyday citizens with some slanderous comment or libelous comment. But just like me, they can say anything they want to about me because I am, for some reason, deemed a public figure, so therefore they're free and clear to say anything, lies, anything they want to say with no repercussion. The only repercussion they're supposed to face is from the voters.
Put them out.
That doesn't happen anymore.
People love the power of having a powerful representative without realizing the kind of money that's being made. Like I just heard, this Republican congressman got $800,000 for voting for the TPP, which we know just sent jobs and everything to China and totally hurt our economy. But she got paid big, $800,000 for doing that. I mean, how many others got big money like that? So these career politicians are ridiculous. Okay, so we have a pastor here who is saying the Schiff has consistently dilated pupils the size of marbles. That can show demonic possession. Some meds can cause that, but I think he's evil.
Well, one of the things about the dilated pupil, I don't know about the demonic side, but in interrogation training, that's one of the first ways you spot somebody lying. If they're telling a pretty good lie, the pupils will dilate. So always watch for that. When you see somebody telling you something that's important and they're lying like a dog, their pupils normally, unless they're trained liars, their pupils will dilate big time.
Mimi's asking where's Schumer
So
now.
y'all know, just so we're being honest, mine won't.
Yep.
But
Mimi asks, where is Schumer?
keeping his head down and out of the fray.
Trying to hold on to his job that way, right?
Yeah, he'll be there when he's needed. He's not needed right now. And he's definitely not a fool. And a fool in the Senate category, there's no way a Democratic senator is going to enter into this fray right now, not until they're forced into it. So he's doing smart. He's staying quiet, letting Schiff and Pelosi and the House Democrats deal with this one. He didn't cause it, and he's going to stay out of it.
Okay. We have two James questions by two different James. One says Soros loves homosexuals because they hate Christianity. Am I on target?
Say that again. I didn't get the question.
Is he on target by suggesting that Soros loves homosexuals because they hate Christianity? But not all of them do.
Yes, I don't know that he would. I don't know that you would say he affectionately loves homosexuals or that he is one. I don't know. But I do know that he hates everything about Christianity. He wants Christianity driven from the world, so he says. Not me. He says that.
Do you think Trump is setting up the Federal Reserve to have the blame fall on them when the economy crashes?
No, I do not. I think President Trump has a surprise for the Federal Reserve if he wins re-election. But no, he's not setting them up.
Wendy thinks there'll be a civil war before people would let socialism take over. They know that, and I think you have said before that because the Democrats know that, when it's time to make the switch, they're going to do it so fast that we don't have time to react, right?
Yeah. Look, y'all. They say there's not going to be an uprising here or there. There may be. But if you do nothing but just go back and look at history and look at the different countries that have had the transition, you say, well, but there's wars that have broken out, in Venezuela and other places, but that's way after. That's after they have transformed and it's failed. Then people get upset. Then when they're starving, they start to do violence. But the way this will happen, it will happen with such precision. I'm telling you. First thing that'll happen, they'll crash the economy, then they'll nationalize the banks, and you're broke. You're broke. Just as you're seeing Soros do, they're going around, they'll get people in key positions in every state, so that if you dare to raise Cain or speak up, stand up, they'll prosecute you and destroy you. I mean, they'll put you in submission so fast you won't even know you're in submission until you've been there 6 months. Nobody's going to stand up and declare we are now a socialist country. It won't be that way.
Yep.
It'll be a progression of things. As I've told you, 6 months to 1 year, we'll be a full-blooded socialist country. You may not call it that, but that's what we'll be.
One thing.
To deny that, let me say this, y'all. Let's just get this on the table. To deny that would be us saying that the people in Germany in the mid to late 30s were dumber than we are today. That they were fundamentally stupider than we are. You see, it slipped up on them. It slipped up on them. Those were not stupid people. But the way it progressed, it trapped them, and they were there before they knew it. Every German was not a Nazi. love the things that the Nazis were doing. No way. Not every German. Probably, in all honesty, the majority of German citizens back in that day hated it after it became obvious what they had gotten into. But until they got there, they thought everything was hugs and kisses.
Okay, the question on the economy, should people take the money out of the banks and buy gold and silver like so many people are advocating?
You know, folks, I've told you before, I am not a financial consultant. I do not want to represent myself as such. I don't want you to believe I am one. I'm not. I'm asking you to use common sense. Common sense. One day, you know, this whole thing's going to collapse if we don't save it. We don't save it, you see, you've got to be able to see it cannot go on the way it's going. Something's got to give, something's got to break. I don't care who you are, I don't care what your political stripes are, you've got to know something's got to break. We're too tied up now, we're too much in a knot. When it breaks, they're going to nationalize the banks and go to every country in history, every country that has had a collapse. First thing they went with the financial institution, and when they take the financial institution, you're not going to have that money anymore. Now, do you want to buy gold and silver? I am not a proponent of gold and silver. Number one, I don't sell it. Maybe that's a mistake I'm making. Maybe if I let these gold and silver companies come on here and sell it, they might pay me to do the show, but I won't. Because I've seen it. I've seen it. You get a gold bar in this economy and everything goes to trash. And you're sitting there with gold and silver. How are you going to buy a loaf of bread? The grocery store is not going to make change for a brick of gold. The grocery store is not going to take a $20 gold piece and give you $800 or whatever it's worth, $1,000, $10,000, I don't know what it's worth. They're not going to give you anything for that stuff. They're not. Cash will be king when this thing goes down. Cash. So are you safer taking your cash out of the bank and putting it in a jar and burying it in your backyard? As far as I'm concerned, you're just about as safe as you are leaving it in the bank. I will give you one rule that you better follow. You better follow it. You think you've got money. Well, let me tell you, folks, if you cannot reach out and touch your money, I mean physically touch it, it ain't yours. It's not yours. And if that bank says, hey, we're not going to get your money back out of the bank because we can't, because we folded, because the government wants any myriad of reasons, you're not going to get your money out of that bank. And by the way, if you got gold and silver, they've done it once before. What makes you believe in a crash of our economy? What makes you believe they won't do the same they've done before with gold and make it illegal for you to own gold privately? Hmm? Well, you say, well, yeah, but if I got it, I can hide it in a shoebox and they'll not know I've got it. No, they won't know you got it down there. You won't spend it. Think about these things. Think about it. Is it going to hurt you to get your money to where you can touch it? I wouldn't go bragging to your neighbors and everybody know that you've got money around your house hidden. I wouldn't do that. You set yourself up to be robbed. But there are ways you can have your money and hide it. Is it going to hurt you to have your money where you can touch it versus it being in the bank? Are you getting that much from the bank interest? When you pay your bills with fine, leave enough in the bank to pay the bills. That's fine. Pay your bills, leave the money in there to pay the bills. But anything extra you got, gosh, dog, think about it. Why do you think I'm not so downtrodden about having to ask y'all for help? You're going to lose your money anyway if you're not careful. So so why not at least use it to help us try to save the country so you don't lose it? Makes sense to me.
No, if you're going to lose it anyway, it really does make sense to help Larry. And with that being said, Larry, we've been an hour. I'm going to say that Larry needs a lot of help today. He has been working very, very hard. This hearing has absolutely exhausted him as he is trying to keep abreast of what's going.
Ellen, before you do that, I've got to go and get the call, so I've got to go now. But please, yes, I need help bad.
Okay.
But I've got to take this.
Okay, go ahead, Larry. Thank you.
Bye.
Can you hear me okay right now? Can somebody say whether you hear me or not? I unplugged the speaker, so we're just going on the computer. You know, it's hard to know, Paul, what the impeachment will do to the soft base. You know, if the soft base listens to the mainstream media and all the lies that they're going to tell, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to know. But folks, we really, really do need to help Larry. That we're just at the end of what any of our bigger donors can do. I mean, it's just gone, and the money has been given to the point that there's nothing left. So please do whatever you can. I'm not going to sit here and beg every day like I do. Sometimes I have to, but I am very concerned about Larry's ability to keep going. What he does is so important and so necessary. And I don't know exactly what he's doing. I kind of guess, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm guessing because that's just not right. I don't, you know, as you know, Larry doesn't like speculation, so I'm not going to speculate. Do help with any way you can. I'm putting his PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. Make sure you share this video. Please share them every day. Hit the like button. We've gotten another 100 subscriptions in the last few days, so that's great. Appreciate it. The Nichols.live.com has a link to the donate page, which goes straight to his PayPal account. You can send cash. You can send cash only in the mail. His mailing address is there. Larry Nichols, 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. There's a phone number there that you can text me if you want to donate with a check or some other means. If you've got a large donation, we can do it through Western Union, and I need to make that arrangement for you so you know how to send it. And if it's a small donation that needs to come by Western Union, there's a way to do that too. It's a lot of extra work for me, but I'm willing to do anything for Larry if that'll help you guys to donate. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for being here. I'm going to try and head down to Washington, D.C. and do some praying down there. I was down there last night, and where I have to go, I got lost last night. It's a lot of fun trying to get, I don't get lost in D.C. I have sixth sense about the way the streets run in D.C., and it's laid out pretty well. Arlington is another question. So I'm going to meet somebody in Arlington, pick them up, take them into DC to pray. So hopefully I won't get lost tonight like I did last night. Anyhow, thank you for being here. God bless you. We will talk again tomorrow. And again, anything you can do to help raise funds to keep Larry in this fight is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. God bless you, and we'll talk tomorrow.